Hi, I'm going to work out the day 30 functions assignment. And this is for you if you had trouble finishing it during class or if you were absent. So the first part of the assignment is, and why don't we label the parts? First, put your name up at the top. And this would work the same if you're using the idle editor. It's the same as if you're doing this in REPL. So I'm going to just do it here. Part one, I asked you to make a function that prints your name. So def print name, and it doesn't need the word name in there because you know what your name is. And I want you to print your first and last names. And then I want you to print your name centered in 25 stars. And so that would be, you could do it like this, just your name again, and then you do dot center 25 with stars. And let's, and then I want your name in all uppercase. Print, and I was thinking that you would use the dot upper command, but a more logical way to do this would be just to make a variable name equals, put your name in there, and then print the variable. You very rarely put quotes and say upper after quotes, but I wanted you to practice using these methods. So don't forget there's empty parentheses after upper. Now, when we run this, you'll notice nothing happens. And that's because we haven't called the function. We defined the function. But down here, where we call the functions is what I'm going to say. This is going to be below all the functions. And I'm just going to call print name like this. And when we run it now, it hops over this, and then it runs this right here, and it prints, it runs the code, because I called it down here. I'm going to do a blank line. All right, and then number 2 is to write a function called print stars that accepts a number and prints that many stars on a single line. So def print stars. This one has a number that it receives. And that's called an argument. And we're going to print that many stars on a single line. You can do it in one line. Print star and then times num. And again, I can press run, and notice we don't get any stars because nobody called the function. And but down here, I'm going to call print stars with a 10, and now we're going to get the 10 stars. I'm going to print it on the blank line just because I like having blank lines in the output over here. If you want, you could call it again. You don't have to be stuck. Why don't we do 100 stars? And also, so we're going to get 10 stars and we get 100 stars. Yeah. Okay. So let's keep going. Number 3, the next function is, I've got another window where I've got the assignment open. Print list, which accepts a list variable and a number and then prints the list in that many columns. Okay, so this one, a little trickier. Def print list. It has the list as an argument and columns as another argument. There's always a colon at the end of this line. And what we're going to do is make a count variable, c equals 0, and then we're going to say for x in the list. That's going to grab everything from the list one item at a time. We're going to print x and end the line with a tab. And then we're going to add 1 to the count variable. And if the count variable divided by the columns, no, that is not, that's just a weird looking L. Columns. If you divide count by columns and there's no remainder, then it's time to go to a new line. Then we do a print without the end equals tab. And what this is doing is grabbing everything from the list one at a time into X. We print it and put a tab. So it's going blunk, 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 blunk. And then whenever there's been however many columns I asked for, whenever there's been that many things, it prints to a new line. So it's kind of a nifty function. Then I asked you to test this by adding some code to the bottom. And I have to, I went and copied it out of the PDF along with some other junk. We'll just put it right here. My list equals, print my list 3, print my list 5. So what this is going to give us is, I want another print in between so we can see. What we've got is, that's the list printed in 3 columns, and that's the list printed in 5 columns. That's in exactly what this code was supposed to do. So there we go. And then I asked you to, I said it doesn't even have to be numbers. Python doesn't care what kind of list it is. We're going to put this other code that I also had in there. I just copied it out of the assignment, and it prints this list of letters in 4 columns. So kind of a handy piece of code. Take any list and print it in any number of columns. And then finally, the 4th part is to write a function called prime check that takes a number and then returns the word prime if it's a prime number, and composite if it's a composite number. So def prime check num, it takes a number. All right. And then I'm going to just write this code, but we did do this in the day 24 assignment. You could go look. You can't just exactly use that code, but we do check for prime numbers over there. But right here, we're going to set up a counting variable. We're going to set up a factors. Well, we don't even need to keep track of the factors. So we're going to do a for loop for x in range 1, comma, num plus 1. So we're going to go all the way from 1 up to the number that we're checking. And we're going to say if num divided by the current number has no remainder, that's equal 0, that means we found a factor. So the c equals c plus 1. And then when the loop's over, we can check if c is equal to 2. That means it's a prime number, because let's take the number 7. 7 is divisible by 1 and 7. So it has 2 factors, and that is the definition of a prime number. Whereas if you sent over 6, you'd have 4 factors, 1, 2, 3, and 6. So right here, we know it's prime if there's only 2 factors, and we return. This is our first use of the word return. You say return prime, and then we're going to say else return composite. And then I give you some code for checking this, and I'd like you to use my code. You can also do other numbers if you want. Remember, you check it down here. And I just copied that out of the PDF. I guess I want one more print here. 401 is a prime number, and 400 is a composite number. So you can also add like 7. That's like a more commonly known to be prime number than 401. But yeah, 7 is prime. And let's do 12, which we know is not prime because it's divisible by 2, among other things. And it says 12 is composite. So this assignment involves writing the 4 functions and then also testing everything. So I'll put it right here. Again, you can pause if you want to look at functions 1 through 3 here. Go ahead and pause. And then here's function 4. You can pause if you need to look at that longer. And then finally, you need to test everything as I have noted here. Except yours isn't going to say Mr. Hayes. Yours doesn't have to print 100 stars, but it does have to have everything up through the 400 and 401. You don't also have to test 7 and 12. But hey, I hope this helped. And if you have questions, send me an email. or I'll talk to you in class. Thanks.